Hey everybody, Pierre Marquette 1223, still out in the garage to check out my other project I got. I'm very excited to do this one. This is my new Union Switch and Signal Company Teardrop bell. This is a iconic bell, one of the very first mass-produced mechanical railroad bells. This bell, I do not know when it was built. I do know it is not the first generation bell, because the first generation bell would have Union on it and would be a very rare bell. I got this bell for 80 bucks, which is a steal. It is in working condition. It does need some major mechanical do-overs though. The exterior of the bell is very poor. There is rust. There was a bee's nest in it. The other bells that were with this one, there was some WRS bells, one with the base and 3 of them for mounting on wigwags. There was a safe tram bell and a western calling bell, and where they were stored was they were readily accessible by mice. So I need to go through and clean it. But anyway, I'm gonna go over this bell. And another interesting feature I want to point out about this bell, this is the lock that came on it. This bell was still locked when I bought it. So, I mean, the only way we tested it was just kind of temporarily connecting wires up to it and ringing it. And it actually sounds really good. I'll ring it later when it's all connected up and whatever, because when the bell's on, it actually becomes really hard to keep up. This is the actual bell portion of the bell. This is what the gong strikes to make the iconic Union Switch and Signal Teardrop bell noise, the kind of lower pitched bell that is a sound that is commonly associated with teardrops. It is in good shape. I mean, it does have some surface rust. You can see where it was painted on the bell at one point. I'm going to take and wire brush that and get it mostly smooth, and then it's going to get repainted back into its factory color, which believe it or not was black. All Union Switch and Signal teardrops came delivered black, and most railroads did not hesitate to repaint these into silver. So this is why you see 99% of teardrops that are still in service, if at all maintained, are silver. Most of them are just extremely rusty anymore. So, but reportedly though, this bell came off the Wabash, and the Wabash was a very heavy user of the Union Switch and Signal bells, and it apparently is a Michigan Wabash bell, so that also adds to it. While I cannot authenticate it, the story is what makes the bell. Here's the door off the back of the bell, and there's a look at the back side of it. Obviously very dirty, needs to be cleaned very thoroughly before repaint. You can see the door was clearly painted with a paint brush, as is the rest of the bell. You can see brush strokes in it, but the back of the door is most notable. Now the interesting part I will say about these bells is that you can see here the remnants of a chain. These bells were originally connected to, well, no, it wouldn't even make any sense because of this. They were connected to they connected to the lock to the chain, so you can never lose the lock. But the bells are hinged, but you can easily lift the door off, which to me absolutely defeats the purpose of having the hinge. So you can just lift the door right off, which to me makes no sense. I'm gonna take this easy. You can see on the inside of this bell too, it's all nasty and rusty and I'm gonna love to restore this thing. It sounds really good too. I might even just temporarily put it back together just so you guys can hear how it sounds. Just for now, I'll ring it with my fingers maybe. But I'm gonna take and turn the housing around and show you. Oh, and by the way, if people tell you that these things are heavy, they are actually fairly heavy. They're not that heavy though, to be honest. They're really not that heavy. But here's the insides of this thing, which actually is pretty clean. Like I said, it does work. You know, original wiring. Now this little doohickey right here, this little round thing, this is so you can actually adjust the sound of the bell, how loud the bell is. It is obviously open full bore, so you can get the most out of it. But how these bells work is, it's all about electromagnets. These coils generate electromagnetic pulses and will cause the clapper, or the gong mechanism, to move as such. You can actually see it moving over here. But every time it completes this circuit, that's when all of a sudden it takes and shuts the magnets off. And then when it turns the magnets back on to pull it in, to ring the bell again, it pulls the clapper back down, hits it, completes circuit, off. So then when it's going like that. And obviously it would be ringing if the bell was on it. Stripping, now most of these parts can come apart of the inside of this bell fairly easily. Debating whether to do that. Some of the wiring in this thing looks really, really scary, considering the fact that it's, you know, probably at least 70 years old in most cases. Probably completely disassemble this bell just for the hell of it, because I mean it is really, really bad in some spots. That's just the bell portion. You have the weather shield that can come off the front of it. But otherwise, I mean, like I said, it does work. Sounds really, really good. It's kind of like a ding, 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 however that sounds on camera. But it's not like a low pitch or a high pitch bell, obviously, depending on what the metal composition is. But this, I thought, this is probably the most anticipated thing in a long time I've wanted to get going, because then I could just ring a crossing bell whenever I want, and that'd be pretty cool. But the next, I kind of wish he had a mini bell, because mini bells are also cool, but he doesn't have one at this time. So like I said though, 8 and 2, for those of you out there, because I know you're going to stir crap up, this bell is not stolen. There are the people out there that like to cause trouble and say you stole it from the railroad, or you bought it from the railroad, or nah. No, this bell was actually, this guy has had this bell for so long. He's a very renowned railroad collector. Gigantic, absolutely massive collection that he has. And this was back when railroads actually would sell retired railroad equipment to this guy. Back when, you know, the 60s and 70s, when the railroad's attitudes on this stuff was totally different. So the railroad actually sold this bell to him, and he has had it ever since. And the bell was retired in working order, which means that it basically was just, you know, modernization, basically. I'm assuming it probably got replaced with another teardrop bell at the time. But other than that, it's a clean bell. I mean, scratch the peeling nasty ass paint and that's about it. So, but I will definitely show progress of this bell. It is it's definitely going to be on one of my my top to-do lists here. I'll probably just take pictures though, because videos, because I can explain all the restoration processes later. But anyway, this is my start of the restoration of my Wabash Union Switch and Signal Teardrop bell. 1223 out.